welcome back to Interjections, a Scudetto celebration edition. I'm your host, Andrew, fresh off a 2-1 beating of Milan, 6 in a row, 20th Scudetto. What a time to be alive. Miko, what's happening?
Campioni di Italia! Congratulations to all fellow Interisti. I'm ready to go.
Uh, Irfan, I know it's like 6 in the morning for you, but, you have to wake up
Yeah.
and celebrate.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I feel like I've been in a constant celebratory mood since the match, and rightfully so. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to getting into it. And yeah, congrats to all the Inter fans out there. Number 20 in the books.
Jay, are you more excited about the Scudetto or listening to Milan fans' reactions to the loss?
Um, no, obviously very pleased with that derby performance and the secondastella. Look, I just want to say congratulations to all the Inter fans. No one deserves this more than myself, because I never stopped believing in Milan right up until the end, and so it's only through my constant vigilance that I was rewarded with a sixth consecutive derby win and just a overall great atmosphere. Even we'll get into it in more detail, but just seeing the guys celebrate and the players often talk about how Inter's like one big family. I feel like you could really see that, like the funny Instagram lives between Thuram and Chalanolo and Sang, etc. All this kind of stuff we'll get into, but it was all just yeah, it's been a really good few days.
I honestly don't even know where to start. We want to get all the celebration stuff, all the, Milan classlessness at the end of the match. Maybe we start by talking about the game, which was we've developed this habit of getting early goals against this Milan team, and it just helps calm things down. It helps you feel like you're in control of the match, and Milan leaving a Cherby completely unmarked on a corner, leading to a free header in front of goal, was definitely not something any of us expected going into the match. But given all the controversy Cherby has been involved in the past few weeks, maybe a few declining performances, Miko, what a relief to get that early goal. And, I think you agree, once we got that early goal, it never felt like we were going to lose this match.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, was it Inzaghi who mentioned that they even trained these kind of combinations from the corners like lately. And I think we've been trying those quite a lot, these kind of uh, front post headers, either straight to the goal or then continuing the ball to the middle and someone knocks it in, like happened now. And yeah, and I think I remember seeing quite a lot of these kind of uh, corners from us against Milan in all these derbies when we won. Uh, like they've completely lost the plot with us. We always, well, not always, but many times we found like completely free guy there in their box, like close to the 5 meter box, and there's like few goals, but many plays which hasn't like resulted in goal, but have been like free headers or somewhat good combinations by Inter, or some kind of a fakes and fake moves and so on, which frees one of our guy to hit the ball almost uncontested. And well, this was obviously this was like a textbook textbook example of that, and yeah, it was great to see it.
Jay, I want to get your thoughts. Milan tried something radical tactically this game, and that they didn't start Giroud, who I think all Inter fans agree has our number. They put Leao up top as a sole striker. They overloaded the midfield. Loftus Cheek was making runs into the box, and despite all these changes, they lost to us for the sixth time in a row. It doesn't matter what Pioli does; they just can't seem to adjust to Inzaghi's tactics, and they just keep coming up short. Any thoughts on why we were the superior side despite all these, overarching changes from Milan?
To address the first change about Leao playing as a number 9, I think part of that had to do with, I think, Giroud played a full 90 or thereabouts against Roma midweek. So, given his 37 or something, even though he doesn't run much, there's probably a little bit of tiredness there, a little bit of fatigue. And I guess they were, it's hard to say what they were going for, because if they were going for like a really fluid, technical, and fast attacking trio, then you'd think they'd start like Chukwueze or even Okafor, but instead they put Musa as the right winger, which was really quite confusing because he's, if I'm not mistaken, is like a centre mid by trade who, can kind of play right back due to his general jack of all trades, master of none type profile. So, but when you play a player like that as your right wing forward, you're going to have a bluntness, a lack of technical proficiency, and we saw that with Musa. He was just a complete non-factor, wasn't threatening at all. As opposed to someone like Chukwueze, who's fast and tricky and has a half decent shot, I guess. So yeah, it's honestly hard to say what they were going for. Look, in the end, it paid off for us. As to why we tend to come out on top despite tactical changes and purely trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat or any tactical surprises, etc. I think a big part of it is just the psychology at this point. We've won 6 in a row, as we all know, and even I think Pioli's had like 2 wins in 15 derbies or something like that. So or thereabouts. So even going further back beyond the 6 consecutive wins, the trend has been overwhelmingly Inter. And so I think it's kind of like how I used to say, or how I say, there's been a kind of psychological inferiority complex against Juve for many years. I think Milan have something similar against us now, and I couldn't be happier with that, to be honest. I've long been a proponent of, when you have an advantage over a rival, it's not enough to just do the bare minimum and win win a comfortable 1-0, 2-0 or whatever. You really want to make that advantage count, play the long game, and really stamp your authority on them, traumatize them for the future generations, so that you don't just win that derby, you win the next one and the one after that. And I think, like I said, the psychological factor plays a huge role in this. And the final thing I'll point out is I think we had some really, really standout individual performances. I'm thinking especially of Thuram, of course, but Pavard I thought was excellent, and Sommer was, he was actually not a bystander this time. He was actually called into action a few times. I'm thinking of one really good save at the near post from a close range Calabria shot. And yeah, like I said, Pavard won the flick on header for a Cherby, and was just really dominant throughout the game defensively. We had talked in recent episodes that Pavard had looked a little bit just, below his usual standard, but what a game for him to return to that elite level. And, this is the class of a player of his caliber, right? World Cup winner, Champions League winner, multiple time German champion, and you saw that just sheer class in the derby. So yeah, a combination of those things, some confused tactics by Pioli, a massive psychological advantage in our favour, and then some brilliant individual performances are the reasons that I think we managed to put this one away. They just had nothing to play for. I mean, we have the second star to play for in the derby in front of the San Siro, and really all they had was being a minor spoiler like delaying us by like a week. That's literally it. It's not really great motivation for them. It's just not enough to really fight for. And so, yeah, I'll add that one as well. Sorry, Afan, you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll say I think if we were in the same position as Milan were, we would have expected Inter to come out with at least a proud performance, like be aggressive, prevent your rivals from winning the Scudetto on your grounds against you. But we didn't see a lot of that from the very beginning. I felt like the team was pretty frustrated and just kind of demoralized to even be there. And some of their players were completely neutralized. Like Pulisic was completely missing, and some of their other players were completely missing. Even Theo didn't really stamp his authority much in that match. And, one of the things I've said is that in previous derbies, one of the main reasons we've been so dominant is that our wingbacks, whether it's Perisic or Dumfries or Darmian or DeMarco, whoever it is, they've completely dominated Calabria and Theo. And I think that continued yesterday. But I think more than that, the reason that Pioli's tactics made little to no sense is that there's no denying that Leao is their most dangerous player, their most skilled player, and the one who can create an individual kind of moment of brilliance for them. And yet, putting him as a center forward with our three center back system just made no sense. I mean, the best advantage they had was to try to get him into space, try to get him isolated one on one with one of our corner center backs or one of our wing backs, and they were never really able to do that in this match because of where they had played him and the way they were set up. So from a Pioli perspective, it made absolutely no sense to like basically neutralize their best player. I mean, I felt like Leao was much less threatening to us in this match than he's been in previous derbies. And I think that was a big tactical mistake. When you talk to Milan fans, they say that, Giroud's been really, really poor for the last 4 or 5 games, and they haven't really been winning a lot. So, Pioli probably thought that he had to change things up. But, I think what Jay was saying or alluding to was that if you were going to change things up, you would see a little bit more of like Chikwueze and some of your other kind of sparks off the bench that might be dangerous, one-on-one players, or might help create an advantage on one side or the other. But instead, he put Leao in the middle and he took Giroud out, who Giroud, even if he's been poor, he's always been effective against us. So I don't know, that made absolutely no sense. The last thing I'll just echo is Pavard. Like, I remember in the beginning when we first started this podcast this season, there was some talk about would Inter win the Scudetto, and I was pretty confident that if we signed Pavard, we would definitely win the Scudetto. And there's been moments in this season where that necessarily hasn't been the case because his performances haven't lived up to it, including in the Champions League. But yesterday, he kind of showed just how world-class he is. And all three center backs yesterday, I thought, were amazing and really kept Milan in check.
Miko, what are your thoughts on Thuram's performance? Just before the season, this guy got so much slack for his preseason performances. He can't score goals. He's not a forward. And now he has scored, I believe, the winning goal in 2 consecutive derbies against Milan. He went ahead and don't get me wrong, Magnan should have done better with this shot, but still, it's the same kind of goal you're used to seeing from Thuram, where he starts out wide, drifts in, and strikes the ball cleanly out of reach of the keeper. So just he's really come in and done a great job as the Robin to Lautaro's Batman.
Yeah. I think he had a great match in this one. I think he was, I don't know how to say it. It was some kind of like a freed or really relieved, and he played really relaxed in a sense that maybe that was because Milan couldn't contain him too well, opposed to some other teams who've been able to like mark him maybe better than Milan did, and he was really having a good time there, and he was able to use all the space he was given, and the goal was, of course, it was a great one. A bit of a same as the in the first derby, but the other corner this time, and yeah, Magnan wasn't at his best in this one. But I don't know, was there some kind of a block of vision there or something? Maybe some players were between thuram and him. So
I reckon he was terrified of another far post,
I
curler
was
into the
just gonna
top
say
corner.
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It was the whole match was PTSD for those guys for Thuram because there were so many times where he would get the ball and they would immediately have the center back kind of like square up against him and then have another defender try to cut off his ability to cut into the box. And I think Magnan's position or where his head was at was just like Jay was saying. I think he was worried about another kind of far post curler, and then Thuram went near post and he just couldn't near post and low. And so it was a great shot, but I think the whole match, like you could tell they had PTSD from his wonder goal from the first derby.
As someone who has their finger on the pulse of what Milan fans are thinking at all times, Magnan is developing a bit of a reputation for conceding soft goals at his near post, and this was the latest in a series of goals that is laid in at the near post. I think it also helped that the rain, Thuram managed to kind of skid his shot low off the wet grass, and that definitely helped it as well. But yeah,
I was surprised when Milan actually had higher X goals than us in this match, but especially in the first half, we missed so many chances. Lautaro had a great chance he completely whiffed on. Thuram had a great chance he whiffed on. Do you think we deserve? I think we deserve to win the game, but did you think there were stretches where Milan outplayed us?
It didn't seem like that to me. But Miko, also, I wanted to get your thoughts on. I think we need to talk about Lautaro.
No, we didn't need to talk about Lautaro now.
What is going on? What is going on with him?
Let's get to that back later. But I want to comment that I was about to also say about the XG, and I think we need to take into consideration how the XG is really calculated. It's basically summed up all the XG of all the chances which each team has gotten in the game, and I think Milan got more of them, but I don't think they really got two good chances apart from the actual goal they had, and then the Leao's good chance in the box in the first half. It was around half an hour. That was pretty good chance, and he shot it right at Sommer. But yeah, I was a bit surprised about these stats as well, because I'm using this FOTMob.com, and they're having Milan having 4 big chances opposed to Inter's 2, and I'm curious what kind of big chances they really had. But maybe it was the Calabria's shot, then the Leao shot, and then the goal, and I don't know, was there another one then? But yeah, I think we dominated this match almost from the beginning. Of course, in the end, they had this. They tried to get the equalizer, but I don't think they were too close after they scored this 1-2 goal. I don't think it was too close at any point. But yeah, it was interesting to see that this time we won without having the XG, and we had less shots, and we had less big chances, we had less accurate passes, and so on. So that was interesting.
I was going to say, I really did think we played the better match than Milan. I really thought we were in the driver's seat for most of it, and only once we came up 2 goals and Milan made some substitutions, basically Pioli took off all of his midfielders to put on forwards to just, try to inundate the attack. And that's when they kind of got, they took a little bit more control of the game and started trying to impose themselves a little. So I thought we played really well, deserving of the Scudetto. And now I want to just talk a bit about what the Scudetto means to us. I mean, obviously everyone's excited about the 2 stars, and to some players like Hakan, this means more. But where would you guys put this Inter team on the Parthenon of Inter Scudettos from your lifetime? I think this is clearly a stronger side than Conte's Scudetto team. I mean, it was better in the Champions League. It had a more dominant league performance. But curious, like where this team ranks for you guys upon recent Inter Scudetto winners.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would agree with you. I think that this team is better than the Conte team. I think it's better than a lot of the Mancini teams as well. The only thing I think that was lacking this season really was, looking at the Champions League and the way we got bounced. Not even the fact that we got bounced where we did. I think the Champions League always a bit of a crapshoot, but the way we kind of got bounced, I think, left a lot of people desiring more, rightfully so. But in terms of like just the team overall, especially in the league, this is about as dominating, I think, as we've seen this club. The thing I really liked was that, I think Lautaro carried us in the first half of the season, especially, but there were so many good standout players and performances at key moments. The first Milan derby comes to mind, but then also just in general, like the way we played against, the Juventus and Napoli and all these teams, like the fact that we essentially have one loss, um, all through all of this is pretty remarkable. And there's been so many different contributions from key players. Like Darmian scored some important goals for us. Thuram's been huge. The team looks and feels and acts like they really like each other and they get along really well, outside of maybe a few kind of isolated players like maybe Klaassen and Sensi. So I think they all like seem like they like each other. They pick each other up, and the performances have been really good. I mean, even aesthetically, the style of play has been so great. And there's very few matches I can think of where we picked up an undeserved win or an undeserved draw. Like it really does seem like in a lot of cases where we got the points, we truly earned them, which isn't always the case in Serie, just given how tactical the league is. So I think it's definitely a memorable Inter side, and I think we'll remember some of the key moments and the key contributions. But again, like, not to be negative, but I think everyone is just a little what if when it comes to the Champions League, because I think we could have seen another repeat march to the final there too.
Jay, what do you think of this Inter team and its kind of place amongst past Inter clubs and our club's history?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it's arguably better than Conte's team. I've always said that if you play 2-3-5-2 type teams against each other, the one that plays the more expansive style tends to win. So I'm sure if we lined up this Inter against Conte's Inter, that this Inter would win. Um, I mean, football moves so quickly that in terms of playing style, this team is even better than the Trebles team. But you know, um, that's why we have, well, that's why these football eras are the way they are, right? Times change, players change, tactics change, everything changes. So it's hard to really say um, whether it's better than like the treble team in terms of it might be better in terms of like the way we play football, but in terms of the results and things like that, it's hard to say that. I mean, obviously we didn't win the treble or come close in that regard. So it's a difficult comparison, but it's certainly deserving of a really of keeping a special place in memory. The only things I'll say to its detriment are, I guess, the strength of the bench is not as good as maybe like the treble team or previous teams. Like, I mean, we won the season with like 15 players. Realistically, the same 11 that started today, plus Carlos Augusto, plus De Frey, plus Dumfries, and maybe Fratesi, and that's really it. Um, Maybe if you add the contributions of Bisek and Naslani and Sanchez and Arnautovic together, you get like another 0.
Odero.
Yeah, then you get like another 0.8 players. But yeah, obviously we talked about this very early on in the season that the forward depth would be a potential pitfall. Thankfully, it wasn't. Thankfully, the team kept it together. We were helped by not suffering too many injuries as well, and the chasing pack tended to kind of, trip over their own feet a lot. So, all in all, I'm going to give the team somewhere, some arbitrary kind of ranking behind the treble team, ahead of like the post Calciopoli Mancini teams, and slightly ahead of the Conte Scudetto season as well, which puts it in second place effectively from at least the modern era. But like I said, it's really difficult to quantify. I mean, when you go player for player, is Barella better than Stankovic or something? Like, I don't honestly know. Like, is Çalhanoğlu better than Cambiaso? They're so different. They're so different. You know what I mean? Cambiaso as a pure defensive mid, obviously much better than Çalhanoğlu, but in terms of like the attacking contribution of Çalhanoğlu, like that's far greater than Cambiaso, for example. And can you really compare like this Lautaro to treble Milito or to even to Eto? It's hard to say. It's just really, really hard to say. Or Ibrahimovic in like 2006, 2009 when he was just carrying us. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I've given a really kind of wishy-washy answer, but I think it ranks highly, but maybe not quite at the top.
Yeah, I kind of agree this, but yeah, I also agree that it's a bit hard to kind of compare teams which were like 15 years ago or late 20 years ago, because football indeed was so different there. But yeah, I would go something like that. What Jay just said, and I want to point out this kind of arc Inzaghi has been having at Inter, and how I would like enjoy this Scudetto a bit more than the one which was won with Conte, because it kind of, with Conte, it kind of like the celebrations and the enjoyment, it kind of died died the next day almost when all the financial issues came, and all the rumors of players getting sold and stuff, and in general, the I remember it was nice to celebrate. We finally got the championship after, was it 11 years, but then it kind of died very quickly, and then it was just not business as usual, but just surviving what's gonna happen next and so on. And it feels so different now, in a sense that we can look forward, even if there are still kind of financial issues, but not in the same extent at all. And even if I gotta give credit to media, they've tried to create this same kind of atmosphere that Inter is in trouble, and all is collapsing. Everything is collapsing, but it's not the same thing as 3 years ago. So yeah, this is a lot. This is a lot better situation to be at the moment, in my mind. And this squad, or the club, is at better state, and the squad is at the better state than it was 3 years ago. And of course, the situation with the coach, who's not going to rage quit after after the Scudetto, that's a big part of this equation as well.
Well, there still is time for Inzaghi to rage quit. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse.
Yeah, that's true. There's still no renewal, but I'm optimistic as always.
Of course. The one thing we actually didn't touch on for the match, I guess I'll circle back, is the red cards at the end of the game. Dumfries and Teo get into it, and then Calabria decides to act like a child and elbow Frattesi in the face. Irfan, you kind of predicted something like this would happen, so just any thoughts from the kerfuffle? And I'll just point out that Dumfries, Teo, 1 game suspensions each, for Calabria 2 games.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that they lost their composure. I mean, they started to lose their composure before with Adli when he was subbed off. I mean, honestly, throughout the match, the guy was not in the great mental form. He seemed like completely undisciplined and a little unhinged. And then when he got subbed off, he started just going on a rampage down the sideline, destroying things. So, yeah, I mean, you could tell that was fairly childish for in a true like context. If you think about it, like I understand you're playing your rival, it's a derby, but like Jay kind of alluded to, like there was nothing for them to really play for. And so instead of coming out with like a proud performance, like, oh, let's ignore the table and let's go out there and stick it to our rivals, they came out with this like petulant kind of energy, and it was honestly kind of pathetic. And Theo, he's been doing this like consistently against us. Him and Dumfries, if there was any like, the equivalent of like some violent tension, the way we talk about things like sexual tension, if there was anything like that between those two guys, there was this violent tension that finally kind of erupted. But it had been going on for a while between Dumfries and Theo. So it was great to see Dumfries immediately kind of go to bat. I think the suspension is kind of BS. I think Theo clearly instigated it and deserved it more than Dumfries did. But ultimately, like you take that. That's something you would expect from your teammate. I was happy to see him do that. So I was proud of Dumfries, frankly, for sticking up for his teammate. I forgot who Theo did that to. I don't know. Was it like
Fratesi.
Fratesi? Yeah.
I thought it
And
was.
then
I thought like
was it Mkhitaryan? I
it was
can't remember who
Fratesi.
it was.
I'm like
Okay.
99% sure, but I thought at first that Leao had the ball, and then Fratesi kind of did like a cynical foul where he made no attempt to contest the ball and just kind of like dragged Leao off the ball using his hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Tier reacted by just like barging into Fratesi, and then Dumfries shoved there. That's how I
Yeah.
recalled it. But then when I looked back and watched the replay, it's actually even worse. Like it was the other way around. Fratesi was on the
Fouled.
ball. Leao just like
Yeah.
grabbed him by the arms and just kind of like dragged him off, obviously just out of
Mhm.
frustration. And then completely unprovoked out of nowhere, Theo just ran into Fratesi from behind and barged into him. So it wasn't
Yeah.
even like
Yeah.
he was reacting to one of our guys cynically fouling a teammate or whatever. He just lost his head and just went on Fratesi. And then that's when Dumfries came in and shoved Theo. And then, Theo like grabbed his face or whatever. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Dumfries docked. He
No,
played.
I
He played
was
7 minutes and got sent off. But
yeah, I know. But it was like it was such a good, I don't know, it was satisfying. I think all
yeah.
Inter fans were pretty satisfied for that. And then the Calabria thing was weird. I mean, that guy doesn't strike me as somebody who's a hothead. And so I don't like it happened so quickly. And like what I remember more than the original incident, I did see the replays, but it was just the whole thing that happened afterwards where like, it was like the benches kind of clearing and there's like big kind of brawl that erupted. But that was just, it seemed completely unprovoked also. I don't know what it is about Fratesi that gets in these guys' heads, but clearly he was doing some sort of Kandreva style or not. Who was it? Who did Kandreva slap for us that one time?
DePaul.
Yeah. Oh yeah, DePaul slapped Kandreva.
Yeah,
Like it was clearly some sort of like Jedi mind tricks instigating going on.
Fratesi was like kind of tugging
Fratesi was in the head.
was like kind of like tugging at him and like jostling, but
Yeah.
like it was completely innocuous stuff that goes on at any set piece. You know what I mean? When players are jostling for position, when defending or attacking a corner, there's always like tugging and little bits of shoving and stuff. So it was just that kind of routine contact from Fratesi, and then Calabria just kind of like shook him off a bit more aggressively than he probably meant to, and that ended up striking Fratesi in the face, and see ya for 2 matches, mate.
Yeah, and the Calabria incident, it's just I don't know, he completely lost his head there. He's the team captain and everything, and Theo is the vice captain or assistant captain, so it just goes to show these guys they can't handle this anymore. They just can't handle this anymore.
This against this opponent, which is going back to what I was saying. It's I cannot get over how big a deal it is to have this psychological advantage over the rivals, and these are the things that you see. Like their heads immediately droop when they concede an early goal, and they concede an early goal so often, as Andrew mentioned earlier. And the second they do, like I said, their heads droop. They start getting frustrated. See Adley, see Theo, see Liao. There was that video that emerged of him just like slowly walking around, and there's, in his defense, like you don't press as one man, but there's not even a single Milan player on the screen aside from Liao. So like he's just kind of like walking around dejected, and that's great for us. That's honestly what you want. That's the kind of mental impact you want to have against a hated rival, So
they are like the dogs, and we are showing them their place. That's what it is at the moment.
Yeah, pretty much.
As you guys, I find it so interesting that we have the mental advantage over this Milan team when, like, you saw their Scudetto celebrations a couple years ago, or they're making fun of Hakan, and it's just so satisfying for Hakan to get this first Scudetto, playing against Milan as one of our best players. So just so happy for him. I think you guys already talked about Pavard and his fantastic performance after he was so desperate to leave Bayern. But if I were to rank players, this probably means the most to Lautaro and Hakan are 1 and 2 in my opinion. Lautaro, because he's leading the line for the first time, captain of Inter for the first time as Scudetto winner. And then, Hakan speaks for himself. Miko, anyone else you think this Scudetto is especially sweet to?
I would say probably Mkhitaryan. He's been at Serie for a few years now, and then maybe Dimarco.
Acerbi.
Wasn't there when Acerbi, yeah, for sure. But Dimarco, because he wasn't at Inter when we won with Conte, so I think those names for sure.
Don't forget Sensi and Sanchez.
Sensi is what, 2-time Scudetto winner now?
Arnautovic treble winner and second star winner.
Yeah.
Hey, fact of the matter is we only win Scudettos when Arnautovic is in the squad.
Arnautovic, Sanchez, and Sensi are the common factors here.
But
what about the key contribution from Asllani in his...
Not this guy again.
Key contributions. A young buck just finding his way in our midfield. What a great story that is. Congrats to Asllani on a well-earned Scudetto.
I hope he's the first one sold.
The first
he was securing the result when Hakan had to come out, so that was
I forgot he played. He came on, right? I completely
forgot that. He came on pretty early in the match too.
He was securing the win there.
Yeah. No wonder Milan scored a late goal.
Depends who you ask.
If I may offer up a hot take, I'm glad we won our 20th title. Obviously, to win it over Milan is fantastic. The one thing I've never particularly cared about are the stars. I understand the magnitude of it, and everyone likes it stylistically on the jersey. But ever since Juve started putting stars on their kits, counting their stripped away titles, I almost felt like we should stop putting stars on ours and not acknowledge the farce they were, encouraging on their side. Any of you agree with that? What does the second star mean to you? Are you guys going to go buy an Inter kit because the second star is on it, or are you closer to my thinking?
I'm not going to buy an Inter kit with a second star on it, mainly because the rumored kits are fucking terrible. I'm sure everyone's seen those rumored jerseys where the left side of the shirt is horizontally striped for some reason. It just looks really just cheap as fuck. So I will not be buying the kit. As for Juve's bullshit, that's the kind of thing you expect from a team that's appealing Calciopoli every 6 months at every different court of law
20
in the
years
country.
later.
Exactly, for 20 years after the fact. And I don't know why the FIGC. I mean, I do know because the FIGC is just powerless and corrupt. But the fact that the FIGC lets them get away with just brazenly declaring, um, that they won X amount of Scudetti despite having X amount stripped is in itself another disgrace. So, what do you expect from Juve? Honestly, I wouldn't let that affect the way we act or affect the way things should be, such as getting the 2 stars. So it doesn't bother me. The only thing that bothers me is our shit kits.
I think the 2 stars look awesome when they're on top of the logo, but the current marketing campaign where they have like 1 star and then our logo and then the other star, and they're trying to I don't know, shape it so it looks like it's like an embossed sphere or something. It's really pissing me off.
Yeah, they're kind of
it's not working.
It's kind of like when you look at the Champions League football with the stars on it. It kind of looks like, it reminds me of those stars, but
it looks like some cheap kids circus flyer. I'm just put the 2 stars on top. Just do that and get back to it.
I'm sure they will for the actual logo for the next kit, but yeah.
All right, let the record show Irfan prefers things on top.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't care about what you really does, and I care about the 2 stars. I think they will look great, and I'm definitely gonna buy the new kit, even though I agree that I don't like the weird design Nike is gonna apparently come up with, but it is what it is. It's more important for me. So
can I just say, look, I mean, last time we won the Scudetto, Conte leaving within a day of winning the title was a bit of a mood ruiner. For me, this Scudetto has already been ruined by our marketing slogan, I am 2 stars. That is...
I was going to say that I am 20, I am 2 star. All that I am stuff needs to die very quick
bad.
death.
No.
I still have a water bottle with I am Scudetto from the last one we won. I am 2 stars is just magnitudes worse.
Did you see the calcio campaign on the Serie A official account of we are intergalactic now that we're among the stars?
No. I mean, brothers universally united, not for everyone. I mean, this club just comes up with some real bangers,
That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna do this marketing shit these days. So I'm just enjoying every bit of this.
I agree.
Says the podcast named Jections. I think we should all just take a look at ourselves before we.
That was the decision of one man going rogue, to be fair. All right. So, any final thoughts on the Scudetto / winning match? I mean, we can do a match preview for Torino coming up, but frankly, there's not going to be much to talk about. So, just any final thoughts on the Scudetto?
You guys mentioned Çalhanoğlu, and I really enjoyed watching when he's having these live videos, and wherever he is, he seems to be really happy. He's all the time he's laughing and smiling with a big grin on his face, and really happy for the guy because he seemed like genuinely enjoying and being happy in this moment.
His voice was completely gone from shouting all night, I imagine.
Yeah. And the live with was it thuram, and then with Steven Chang.
Yeah, there was it was like a whole
live goal.
Yeah, a whole host of guests. I actually saw it happening live on Insta, and I was kind of following along from the beginning. And he had DiMarco on. It was like those three mainly: DiMarco, thuram, and Çalhanoğlu. And thuram had these hilarious a cyclist sunglasses or whatever.
Yeah.
Very into fashion, that guy. Then they invited Barella, and they were saying among the three of them, the initial three, thuram, DiMarco, and Çalhanoğlu, they're like, oh, who should we call? And they were like, call Dumfries, and Dumfries was sleeping, so he didn't answer the first time or something. And then they called Barella, and
Lautaro was there.
Yeah, Barella, and then Dumfries was sleeping and then went back to sleep, and then they got Lautaro on, and then obviously thuram was like, call Stephen, which is really fun. And then they actually did, and then he actually answered. And Stephen was also sleeping, and he's like, "Oh, I've only slept 2 hours and stuff like this." And then yeah, that clip that's doing the rounds now on social media, going a little bit viral of Thuram saying to Stephen saying, "Me and Chalanolu cost €0, so you can get us a gift," and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then Steven was, well, it wasn't exactly like that one. You know that damn well.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But yeah,
it was great to see. It was great to see.
Yeah, it was definitely great to see because I didn't realize they had this kind of relationship with Steven in a sense that, but yeah, at the same time, they are around the same age. All these, like, isn't Steven like around? I don't know. Well,
31,
he's over
32.
30 now, but yeah, but not like 40 or 50 or more like usually presidents are.
Oh, you mean like 80 in Italy, 85?
Yeah, true. Yeah, but yeah, that was hilarious.
I think there was like a little bit of poking fun at the fact that they know the financial situation as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That made it that layer made it funnier, especially for the Interisti who actually know the financial situation. But like I said, it's actually doing the rounds on like mainstream football social media as well. But I don't think a lot of the other like non-Inter fans understand that kind of layer to it, which I find hilarious. Knowing that kind of like Zhang is in some ways kind of broke his shit, saying because zero, so give us a gift.
Yeah. There was this one clip where DiMarco was calling Steven and shouting like Steven bonuses or something like that.
Yeah, just great camaraderie to see there. I agree completely.
Yeah, no, completely agree with you guys. Although I think part of this dynamic is only possible if you have a president who is so young. Like, could you imagine, like, I don't know, Fiorentina winning the Scudetto and Comiso having like FaceTime conversations with his players?
Well, no, because Comiso is dead. Too far.
Did he actually die, or am I losing my mind?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Comiso. It was the Joe
I was gonna say, like,
Baroni,
I feel like I would have remembered that if that happened.
My bad. Comiso is not dead. I'll publish a correction, publish a retraction. I like to formally retract that statement. But fine, you can handle the paperwork as our lawyer.
We're gonna be getting.
But yeah, I know.
We're gonna be getting a lawsuit from MediaCom in the coming days now.
But I can imagine Berlusconi trying to take the players out to some sleazy joint. And,
he'd be buying them hookers for sure.
Exactly. So Berlusconi and
Zhang can't afford hookers, so he's stuck FaceTiming.
Pretty much.
All right, let's talk a bit about plans moving forward for the season. So the question now becomes the 102 points, the Juve record is dead. And now I've seen, like, it's funny just watching people like reset expectations. And now it's, don't you think Inter want to set their single season point record, or they definitely want to get to 100 points? And just continued rationalization from some people in the fandom to like keep fighting and keep playing like Mkhitaryan for 90 minutes and Lautaro for 90 minutes. So as we sit here, it sounds like the match against Torino is actually going to be pushed back a day. It was originally scheduled for Saturday. Looks like it's going to be pushed to Sunday. Dumfries is suspended. How do you guys want to approach the rest of the season? Are you advocating let's start Buchanan against Torino? Like, let's start Frattesi, let's start Bisek, let's get these young guys some minutes. Do you think we're going to see more of, let's just say Darmian starts and Buchanan gets 20 minutes at right wing back? Like, how do you think this is going to play out, and what would you do in this situation, Miko?
Yeah, I would go with the bench guys now. I don't know about Sensi and, well, maybe Klaassen, but he's just so irrelevant in this season that I don't know. Maybe he's gonna play, but I would definitely go with Frattesi, Bisek, Buchanan, and maybe the forwards can have the rest finally as well. But yeah, that would be my way to do this, because I think even if we go with these guys, we can still win games since we have the first team guys on the bench and they can finish the job if it doesn't look good. So I would definitely go with the bench guys just for the like a prepare for the next season, so that guys like Pisek and Buchanan would get more minutes. Okay, Pisek is already like he's already fit in almost, but someone like Buchanan, he should definitely play more from now on, and the same goes with Fratesi. He hasn't played too much, even if he's been pretty important with these two. Was it two late winners and in general his sub role has been, I think, pretty good, but now he should be given the chance to like play from the start and try to play more our game, our way of football is played. So yeah, I would go with the bench guys and see what's gonna happen. I wouldn't change the or chase the record points. What about you guys?
Yeah, I would just play all the bench guys. I want to see what these guys are made of at this point and go from there.
So I mean, at this point of the season, traditionally what happens is you give the bench guys a run out just as a reward, you know. So I expect to see some of that. But considering there's like 5 games left, I'd expect to see that kind of like scattered across the remaining 5 games rather than like, you know, all 5 games or whatever. So yeah, I expect to see Ardero once or twice. Definitely expect to see Bisek and Aslani start at least 2 times each. Same with Fratesi. Maybe Clausen gets some time. Maybe even Sensi as like a goodbye, and hopefully Sanchez, and you know, hopefully they get a send off. I'm feeling charitable. Let's give some of these guys a bit of a send off because despite the good mood we're in, you know, reality is quite a few of them have to leave. So yeah, I guess
Send off to Quadrado as well.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, Quadrado. I mean, he's even fit to feature in a send off match. As far as I heard, he got injured just before the derby as well. So, yeah, let's. I mean, I'd say play the youth if we had any, but we do not. So, like, who are we going to play? Cassidy, you know. What's that guy's name? Ebenezer or something. Who was that guy that came on? Atkinson Miro.
Yes, young Ebenezer.
Yeah, young Ebenezer. Atkinson Miro and did Saar debut? I can't remember. I was saying young Saar for ages, but I don't even know whether they actually played.
I don't think he has played.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it was only against Samira.
Yeah, right. Was he the only Primavera player that debuted this entire season?
I think so.
That is shocking.
I think Stabile didn't play. He was in the preseason, but I don't think he played.
I mean, pre-season Stankovic was our starting keeper, so what can we say? Well, look how far we've come, having no goalkeepers. But yeah, well, I mean, let's just give a handful of kids a run out here and there. To be honest, I'm not so excited about the current crop because I know nothing about them compared to, you know, previous years where we had like a Pinamonti or like a Cassidy really kind of trying to break that glass ceiling into the first team. But this past season or two, maybe it's just part of Inzaghi's aversion to youth that we just don't know much about them. So I don't really care too much. Like I said, just give the shitters a send off and mix in some reserves, or help ourselves to a healthier dose of reserves than we normally would. And that's it. Let's just see out the season happily, no injuries. Yeah, again, a bit of a non-answer to the question, but what do you do at this stage of the season? I guess what do any teams do at this stage of the season? You remember when Juve won the Scudetto in 1920? They lost like the last 5 games, you know. So I expect to see something. Hopefully not losses, but a relaxed attitude. And I don't think any of the teams are playing. I think with the exception of Verona and Frosinone are like that, at risk either. So I expect the last couple of games to be pretty chill.
Yeah, if I were to bust out my crystal ball here, like I think he's going to start Darmian this weekend at right wing back and give Buchanan substitution minutes. I'd like to see him start Aslani. I'd like to see him start Frattesi. I think there's a better chance of Frattesi starting than any of these other players we've mentioned, but Inzaghi has never been a big youth guy. He has always used these players as like cameo late substitutions. So I'm not expecting much to change. I think last match of the season, second last match of the season, you might see some like wholesale moves, but Sunday against Torino, I'm pretty much expecting the normal lineup with maybe some appearances off the bench.
Yeah. Oh, I completely forgot, but I want to give a shout out to De Vrij. I was very anxious when he came on late in the game,
same.
but he was good.
Ghost of Giroud passed.
Yeah, pretty much. But he kind of exorcised those demons. It's only on for a couple of minutes, but he won several notable challenges very confidently and competently. And even though he only played a few minutes, like I said, he made himself stand out with some great interceptions and tackles. So, yeah, shout out to De Vrij for the cameo.
Yeah, no, I think every Inter fan collectively was having a WTF moment when he came on because we all hate the substitution where Cherby switches out wide. We all know De Vrij's kind of poor history in this fixture. I think he might have started the first derby back in September, but we all just forever scarred by that Giroud performance against him a couple of years ago. So he played well. I don't know, but Miko, before we wrap up, any thoughts on Torino? I know no one cares at this point, but if you have any opinions on them, more than open to them.
Yeah, I think for Torino, it's a bit of a match they don't care either, and I don't know. Of course, we would like to win in front of our own fans, so maybe that's the like a factor which plays in here in terms of who's gonna start and who's gonna play. But because I think, as you said, they moved the kickoff on Sunday, and I think it's pretty early Sunday, so that
it's the afternoon kickoff.
They can start the parade from there, from San Siro. So that's they want to avoid the, I don't know, I assumed or understood the rain situation in Milano is that they wanted to move this match. I don't know, but anyway, I think we want to win that match, and as Torino doesn't have a lot to play here, or do they?
Actually, no, they're firmly safe, from relegation, and they.
Yeah, but I was thinking maybe there's some Euro spots left, but they are 6 points behind Lazio, who's seventh. I don't know, can seventh have any?
Yeah,
maybe seventh can have a conference league.
Yeah, considering we got 5 teams in the Champions League next season, I think seventh, maybe even. Yeah, shit. How does it work? The sixth and seventh go to the Europa? Then I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's only 1 or 2 which goes to Europe League and then 1 goes to Conference League. I don't really know, but maybe they actually have something to play for still.
I don't know, man.
So
I'll tell you what. Ivan Juric does not strike me as a man who wants to play in the Conference League.
yeah.
A very, very stern, austere man. He just doesn't strike me as much of a Conference League guy. That's just me.
The real, we've been linked a lot to a couple of Torino center backs, I believe, right? So Schurz is obviously injured and unavailable for this match. Buongiorno, is he on Torino, is that right? Or is he on Atalanta? I can't remember.
Torino.
Yeah, okay. He's on Torino, so I guess something to look forward to in this match is how does he look, if that's someone we're going to seriously consider as a center back. Bellanova,
maybe.
Yeah, Bellanova is their right wing back, and from all accounts, Bellanova is playing pretty well. There's a lot of talk of him making this Euro squad for Italy and being called up. So that might be. I don't see a scenario where we sign him ever again, but just something to keep an eye on for those of you interested in ex-Inter players. And then, yeah, I mean, if you enjoy torture, you can look at Zapata, who is probably going to be our forward signing this summer based on past history.
Thuram replacement, yeah.
I'm a big fan of this Vlasic guy who Torino signed to the Premier League a couple of years ago. He is your typical, like, Balkan creative, like, I don't know, reminds you a little bit of Lajic.
Yeah.
So that's my abbreviated Torino preview for you all. I just, we're playing out the string at this point. So Miko, predict a victory for us.
Yeah, let's go with 3-1 win. And I don't know about the goal scorers. Should I give it to Lautaro finally? Maybe I'll give it to Lautaro now.
Yeah, now nothing's on the line. Lautaro.
Yeah.
Now that the pressure's off, the prick will score again. But
yeah, actually, we forgot to talk about Lautaro, and Irfan wanted to do it, but maybe do it next week.
Yeah.
It's all right. We have a lot of content needs now that the season's effectively over, so we will get to it.
Yeah, Lautaro gets one, and then I'm gonna go with Buchanan. Buchanan will get his debut goal here, and then who's gonna get the final one? Thuram will get he's on a roll now, two goals in a row. So yeah, 3-1 Inter.
I am also predicting a Buchanan goal, except it will be an own goal for Torino. So I'm actually taking a one. I'm somewhere between a 2-1 Inter win or a 1-1 draw, depending on how adventurous Inzaghi gets with the lineups. That's kind of where my head's at. So for the sake of things, I will go 2-1 Inter win, Buchanan own goal for the Torino goal, and Lautaro brace. Jay, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm feeling a 3-0. And maybe like a Arnautovic goal or something. I don't know. It's just given the uncertainty over the starting lineup, it's kind of hard to say, but I'm going to predict a Pavard goal. Not yet, but before the season ends, I reckon he's going to get one. Let's go DeMarco one goal. If he's, if he's recovered from his week of drinking, maybe Lautaro one goal, and we'll give one to De Vrij.
All right, let's end this with some Jay's hot betting tips.
Hot betting tips is that Milan lost Teo Calabria and Tomori for the game against Juventus, but they're still going to win 3-0.
They do have Juventus's number.
They do, despite Juventus winning the first fixture between them this season via a deflected Locatelli goal. So I'm going to say 3-0 to Milan. A depleted Milan bounces back and confirms their runner-up position by beating Juve. I mean, even following the derby loss, they're still 5 points ahead of Juventus, who are in really poor form. I think they've won like 2 out of the last like 9 Serie games or something. It's really quite bad. So, convincing Milan win. And we'll go Leao hat-trick to compensate for him not showing up in the derby. He's saving himself for this match.
my favorite post Scudetto quote came from Ausilio, who was just saying that this team never hid from its expectations, whereas it was an indirect shot at Allegri constantly saying Juventus's objective was the top four, when obviously it wasn't. They were straight in the Scudetto race last time we faced them. So I appreciated that dig. And it's true. This team was always clear that, they dreamt of the Scudetto. So satisfying to get it done.
Yeah. And those words have more weight considering it's like, I told you so. Like he said, and I mentioned this on one of our earlier episodes, that Ausilio said more or less the same thing at that time. He basically said, everyone starts off trying to win, and then they only start making excuses about top 4 and whatever when they start falling short of those expectations. But everyone starts off trying to win, so he kind of laid the gauntlet down and then made good on his promise. So it was a real boss moment from Ausilio. Do people still use that word, boss? I don't know.
We're showing that this is a podcast for boomers.
Exactly.
Like Irfan.
Yeah, Ausilio. Yeah, there were some fire words from Ausilio. No cap. There was no cap.
Ausilio has some ravs to him. You know what I mean?
It's Riz, man. Fuck. That's embarrassing. It's Riz. It's short for
Riz?
charisma. Riz. Oh, that was the worst one yet.
I actually have an explanation for that one, but it's not interesting enough to share on this podcast, so I will send that to you guys in the group chat.
It was worse than Atalanta from Bergamo, but
no, that is my low point on this podcast, to be honest. the Bergamo is the low point of this podcast, especially because I have been to Bergamo.
Fair enough. Okay, but yeah, great kind of nice moment from Ausilio, and great way to end the show. Great way to end the Scudetto race, Miko.
Although honestly, you telling me it's short for charisma really changed my perspective on things. That was a good, life moment right there.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard from Instagram comments.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up there. Thank you all for listening to this Scudetto celebration. We've enjoyed being with you every step of the way, and we'll be back, much like Inter, playing out the string with some episodes over the course of the rest of the season. We're going to shift gears. We'll focus a little less on the matches and do some, season and review type things, reflecting on, the team's performances and things like that. So hope you all join us for that. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye.